Hello, my beautiful people. It's not a beautiful day. My first outdoor, well, I'm still indoors, but my first outdoor indoor video of the year. I'm feeling blessed to make it to another year. I'm sure most of y'all feel the same way. And I really just want to wish you guys a year of prosperity, a year of health, a year of blessings, and just a year in which everything that you've been working for, all the hard work that you've been putting in, all the effort that you've been putting in. I really hope this is the year in which everything truly begins to work out for you. And everything that you desire, I'm really hoping this is the year in which you finally achieve them, right? Now, I just wanted to make this quick video. It's been something that I wanted to talk about for a little bit. And what I wanted to talk about was your experiences are not your identity. I remember reading this book. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. One of my favorite books, right? I recommended it quite a few times in my videos. And what particularly stood out to me in this book was that in the book he talked about his experience in the concentration camps, right? And specifically he talked about the two different types of men or people, well, men, because I think it was mostly men, that he experienced in the concentration camp, right? I'm sure most of y'all are probably familiar with all the horrific stories and all the tragic things that took place during that time period. Well, he talked about two different types of men that he experienced or he saw firsthand. The first man was the man who became a lot more cruel, a lot more heartless, a lot less compassionate, a lot less loving, a lot more animalistic as a result of the harsh conditions on the camp, right? And then he spoke about another man, second archetype of man, who because of the conditions on the concentration camp became more loving, became more compassionate, began to truly look out for um their comrades, right, and their friends, and just began to look out for people in general a lot more, right? And this particular story stood out to me because it truly shows you the fact that who we become is truthfully a choice, right? If one man became lot less loving, a lot less compassionate, and another man became a lot more loving and a lot more compassionate, then it is safe to say that who we always become as a result of our experiences is truthfully more than anything a choice. And oftentimes that choice is an unconscious one, right? But nevertheless, who we become as a result of our experiences is truthfully a choice. And I think often in our own lives, we allow our experiences to define us. A lot of us have been in some horrific situations. A lot of us have experienced a whole great deal of hardships in our own lives, right? And because of those experiences, we allow ourselves to become defined by them. You might experience something tragic, something hard, and we often say to ourselves, I am the way I am because I went through this. I am the way I am because of this experience, because of this thing that I've been through. And without realizing it, I think we allow our experiences to continue to define us. Or at least we believe that we don't have a choice to choose who we become as a result of our experiences. So we default to simply just allowing ourselves to simply just be a product of our experiences, right? And then we live our whole entire lives using these experiences of the past to define us and to sort of shape our identity instead of being the ones to give meaning to our experiences, right? You can go through something hard, harsh, right? Tragic experience, you know, let's say you grew up and you didn't necessarily get the love that you wanted. You didn't grow up in the best family. Um, all the negative experiences you can think of. And don't get me wrong, it's really hard. It's really hard when you feel like you didn't have a choice as to how you grew up and the experience that simply just happened to you, right? And so it's really hard to really look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I have a choice to choose who I become or choose who I am in this moment, right? Because all you know and all the stories that you've been telling yourself for most of your lives is really just predicated on those past experiences, right? But I think any sort of change begins with recognizing that you have a choice, begins with recognizing that you are never defined by by your experiences. You can always be the one to give them definition. You can always be the one to look yourself in the mirror and make the choice to make a change, right? And we don't always have to bring the old same stories, the old same narratives, the old same us with us in the present moment, right? And I feel like specifically it's important for you to realize this going into this new year. Because to me, the way I see it is a new year is truthfully a new opportunity to make change. And actually every day is a new opportunity to make change. But a new year for me just symbolizes a more drastic change, right? It's about recognizing that this is your opportunity to choose a different narrative. This is your opportunity to recognize that you are capable of change, to recognize that you are capable of stepping into a new you, to recognize that you are capable of choosing who you want to become. And all of that begins with recognizing that you are never defined by your experiences. No matter what it is that you did in the past, no matter what it is that you've been through, no matter what it is that anyone else did to you, no matter what it is that anyone else said to you, you are the only person who can choose who you become. You are the only person who can define yourself. The only person, right? There's this um there's this quote by Nietzsche um that says, and I'm just paraphrasing by the way, that says, he who has a strong enough why can overcome anyhow. I think that's what the quote says. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but he who has a strong enough why can overcome anyhow. And I think the why of our lives has to be us, if that makes sense. We always have to be the why of our lives. And when I say we have to be the why of our lives, what I mean is that we have to sort of value our own selves so much, value our own lives so much so that we don't need a sort of external why, because our whole lives, our entire existence is all the why that we need, right? If you see yourself as this valuable entity, this valuable being in your entirety, then I think everything that you do in life, every choice that you make, every decision, every action that you take should be aligned in your highest good, right? So I think the highest why you can have in life, or one of the highest whys you can have in life, is to sort of always make decisions in your best interests, if that makes sense, right? Because even as it pertains to how we show up to the world or actions towards other people, right? One thing that I recognize is that your relationships, your your passions in life, things that you endeavor to achieve, the mission that you want to, you know, embark on in the world, all of it first begins right here. All of it first begins with you. So our whole entire lives is always in reference to us, right? In reference to our highest good, right? And so if we allow ourselves to always be our own why, to be the reason why we wake up every day and strive for the best, to be the reason why we start to make any sort of change in our lives, allowing our whole existence, our whole reason for moving through this thing that we call life, to be for our highest good. And not in a sense of the ego necessarily, not in the sense of you disregarding everyone else, but in the sense that you recognize that everything begins with you, right? How you show up into the world is always based on, first and foremost, how you show up for yourself. How you treat others is always first based on how you feel about yourself and how you treat yourself as well. And all of that begins with depositing positivity, choosing new stories, choosing new narratives, not allowing your past to be your identity. I think that's where all of it begins. All of it begins with you, right? You always have a choice. You can always choose, always. And even in situations and circumstances which are out of your control, because a lot of life is out of our control, right? All we can always control is our perception. And even in situations in which certain things are out of our control, the one thing that is always in our control is our perception and the choices that we make based on our perception. And if we don't recognize that, then I think we will always be subject to just accepting whatever narrative or story or anything that the world places on us, right? So you are never defined by your experiences. You can be the one to give them definition. You can always be the one to choose who you become. And especially in this new year, when it's sort of like a great reset. Every year is sort of like a great reset for a lot of people. At least initially, at least for like a year or two, until we fall back into our old habits, our old patterns, our old negative stories that we tell ourselves. Every year is a new reset. But it's something that I want you guys to bring with you for the rest of this entire year and for the rest of your life. And that truly is just recognizing that your experiences are not your identity, and you are never defined by what happens to you. You can always be the one to give your experiences meaning and choose who you decide to become. And allow your why in life to be you. The reason why you wake up every day is first and foremost because you want to, I guess, create a life that you want to truly experience and give your best self to the world. I think that's where it truly begins, right? being our own why. Because sometimes when we externalize a why, anything external can be taken away from you. But anything that is internal is truthfully always yours, and no one can truly take it away. So when your meaning in life, when your why is you, no one, no experience, nothing, excuse me, can truly take that away from you. So yeah, um, really blessed to be alive. Really happy to be here another year. And like I said, make the most of this year. If there's things that you need to leave behind, things that you need to let go of, that is people, old habits, or negative stories, this is the year, this is the moment to do so. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace and blessings.